This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club. Be a part of the community and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Hot side aeration myth: to sparge or not to sparge, and preventing suckback while cold crashing my beer. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 372. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in, leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107, and when I play your voicemail question, because I'm in desperate need of them, on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card, courtesy of Mr. Todd Burns. Let me actually see if I can put him on the screen.
Why are you doing that with your hands?
I just noticed that I was talking with my hands, and then I started talking more with my hands.
Thank goodness I'm trying to look away from the screen.
No one watches this. They all listen. I can do whatever I want. Joining me today, I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, and as always, joining me is the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President, Chief Keg Washer, and Premier Questionnaire of what I'm doing with my hands, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, hey. How are you?
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Look at me. I'm in the call center today. I'm doing tech support and calls with my headset today. It's great. No, I actually I went on Amazon and bought 2 of these aperture lights because every time I'm up here, well, I mean, we need them anyways. Every time I'm up here, though, and I'm in here, I had people tell me, Josh, you need to be better lit, dude. You're already ugly. At least get some better lighting. And sure enough, the lighting's better. I'm still ugly, but the lighting's better. Anyway, we appreciate y'all joining us for this episode. We do have a jam-packed episode. We have 3 questions. Look at that, Todd. Why you always send me stuff while we're recording? That's beautiful.
Pretty cool.
That is beautiful. Now I'm going to have to put it on the screen right now. Bing! Talk about what you just sent me, Todd.
Yeah, that's a
faucet.
It's got faucets on
the other
both
side.
sides, so it's a 6-inch
Wow.
tower, absolutely full of CM Becker V10 faucets. So that's pretty cool.
It's a beautiful site.
Wow.
That's a really nice
It is
setup.
really nice. Who is this from?
Hubertus.
Oh, I see it. Hubertus. Hubert. When we're not recording.
Hubertus.
There you go. When we're not
You mean it's
recording.
not Hebrews?
Yeah, you mean hubris? You mean that hubris? I can see now on the plate.
What did I say?
They do incredible work, which is, I'm segueing to talk about what we're doing. And sometimes I get accused of being too infomercially. This has nothing to do with 99.9% of people because it's not really a retail product. But this coffee tower project that we are spearheading right now, Todd, is extremely exciting. We're about to go.
It is.
When we're done with the podcast, we're going to go on the old side and record some content with it. Cold brew nitrogen tower. Hubertus made this incredible tower that does the infusing at the point of dispense, where traditionally it's been done in the keg, right? I mean, that's where it's normally been done prior to this. Now though, and so what that achieves, you're still using nitrogen in the keg, but you're not having to do a carb stone and all that. The nitrogen pushes it out. It hits this infuser at the point of dispense, and the cascade effect is silly cool. It is so fun to watch. And Todd, our test this morning, the keg wasn't even that cold, and apparently temperature doesn't matter. It looked beautiful. You poured it. It looked beautiful.
Yeah, it even looked better once it got cold, though. So
yeah, I had a glass this morning. It was good.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty neat. It's using our V3N faucet, which is specifically made for nitrogen, and then we're using a flow control on the other side so that you can set the gas the same, but pour either a nitrogenated coffee or a standard cold brew coffee. So I think it's going to be a real hit. I can't wait to get it in the coffee shop next week and see how they like it.
And here, here's where my little, it's a win-win. Don't call me conniving, but I have a buddy who runs a slew of coffee shops in my town, the one I always walk my daughters down to. And so I managed to, he graciously agreed to let us demo it in his store, and we're going to get some filming done in there. And I like that because I can just walk down there and get a cup myself. And we're not doing you're on to me. You knew what I was up to, but we had to have some store.
I've already told him to charge you double for that when he comes in. So.
Is this something about guys in their mid to late 50s? Because his friends and family discount is also cost plus or retail plus 10%. He gives me the friends and family discount all the time. I go down there.
That's good.
I actually like, I'll get off the topic of coffee real quick, but coffee shops in my town that are opening up are all almost exclusively espresso drinks. He still has drip. He has a dark roast that I love. It's I forget the name of the dark roast. It's Signature Dark Roast from Texas Coffee Traders, I believe. I don't know the last time y'all been to a coffee shop. What's up with people not doing drip anymore? It's all just espresso. It's like, do young people not drink drip coffee? Am I some kind of plebe? I don't know. I love drip. I mean, I love good drip, especially dark roast. Very flavorful and all that. But anyway, the coffee project there. Let me get through some more small talk. What do I have on here? No, that's the title screen, and that's us. Oh yeah. It's basically last call. If you're listening to this on Thursday, the 29th, it is last call. If you want to brew this month's delicious Cologne Kolsch, or if you're German, Cologne Kolsch, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join a recipe receiving tier, and get this incredible kit shipped out to you. You're going to love it. And if you don't, something's wrong with you. I don't mind saying that. I'm confident in that. It's a delicious recipe. It's a delicious beer, and it's premium ingredients from our sponsors at Muntins Malt, hopsdirect.com, and Imperial Yeast. We are very blessed, James, to have the sponsors that we have. We actually shout out to all of them, but specifically today, our buddy Matt Crane over at Hops Direct. It was like Christmas in the office. UPS came by, and he was like, he doesn't know me, the UPS driver, because I'm only up here a couple times a month. And he goes, I think this might be for you. Are you Josh? I was like, yes, I am. Big old Hops Direct bots. I was like, yes, oh, look at this. I open it. He sent you a 5-pound bag of German tradition. You're going to be brewing some Pilsners, my friend. That's what's up. That's what's up. And then Imperial, we got Monday? Or no, it was last week. I just opened it Monday. Sent us some Harvest for you. So what I'm getting at is you have to brew. You have to brew.
Definitely. It's been a while.
Yeah, Munton's also sent us their lager malt. So there is the environment is ripe for a German Pilsner by James Carlson.
Yep.
I'm
definitely going to do it.
An Uberdrunk or whatever. I got correct. I called it Unterdruk, and they're like, no, that's the wrong. Germans will say like, but then I say Unterdruk, and they're like, no, that's not the right one, Josh. It's Uberdruk. But and I probably said that wrong. Hey, thanks for joining us again, Mr. Burns. I was just talking bad about you.
Sorry, I knew we had I had to do a international wire transfer, and I've been waiting for the call all day.
Oh, so. The Nigerian prince is finally getting you the funds? That's good.
Yeah. He said if I send him $2,000, he's going to send me $500,000.
It always works every time. Yeah. So anyway,
that's the deal too good to miss.
The deal's too good. So again, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join our community. Come brew with us. We appreciate everyone at every tier. And if you're in the recipe receiving tier, I've shipped them out. They went out Tuesday. So look out for those. If you don't have it by the time you listen to this, text me at 325-305-6107 and I will get you the tracking. And even I'm on the ball, Todd. I sent you the shipping cost and everything. I was productive yesterday. Got all the. Yep. It's been nice. But anyways, there. And with the Kolsch, that is my segue to the Kolsch Cup is coming up. I'm throwing up the mock-up I did for the shirt. That's 99.9% what it's going to look like, guys. But Kolsch Cup is filling up. We actually, unfortunately, had some people.
I don't see it.
It's the one I sent you.
I have not approved that design yet.
You did not approve it.
No, I'm not approving.
What is wrong with it? What?
You have to put some stuff in the foam.
Oh my gosh, dude!
It's a giant piece of plastic. You might as well just send people a plastic bag.
Okay, you listen. Not all of us sweat as profusely as you do. In the last year's Alt Pokal has more plastic on it, and the Kolsch Cup before had more plastic on it.
Yep, I hated them both.
No, you hated the alt one because I did not 100% cotton. I will never make that mistake again. James, it was opening weekend.
I have not approved that shirt.
The things
design.
He said about me to my face in front of his friends, they didn't know if we were joking. He was. I've never seen him that. I mess up on a daily basis, and he doesn't get that mad at me. But God forbid.
So 12,000 people are my witness. I have not approved that shirt design.
I'll edit this out. I'm Todd Burns, and I approve this message. I use AI now, buddy. Yeah, that's right. Here's the one.
So Judge, he sent it to me, and I said, "No, you got to change this," and he just completely ignored me. I could feel it on the phone.
Yep, absolutely. I did. Yeah, busted. Yes, I did. Well, tentatively speaking, either way, regardless of what the shirt's going to end up looking like, April 11th through the 13th, sign up at kolschcup.com. We're back down to about halfway full. We had 25 entries of the 40, and then 5 people dropped out already. They didn't pay. They're just like, oh, I signed up too quick. I'm actually not going to be able to brew in that time. I think and I'm not judging y'all for dropping out, so this isn't a dig at y'all. What I think happens, I think people are very self-conscious about their beer in competitions, which I understand. I've never submitted a beer for competitions, so I'd never judge someone there. But I do want people to know this is, I promise, the most laid-back experience of a competition you're ever going to encounter. And the reason we live stream when we can, or we publish our judging sessions like we had to do with the Alt Pokal, is so that you see our thought process in each one, in our discussions and all that. We want people to be comfortable sending us their beer, and also, though, be comfortable sending their beer in to other judges. But if they live stream the BJCP certified type of things, I bet people would stop sending them in. I bet you those guys out loud can be brutal. I've seen some scores.
I would rather, if I was sending a beer in, I'd want them to be brutal.
Yes, you. That's you.
The whole point of it.
No, right. I get it. Right. And we don't name names.
Not everybody's that way.
Not everybody's that way, Todd. And also, though, if you're new to this and you haven't watched an Alt Pokal or a Kolsch Cup, we don't publish your name. You have a registration number. So we would never do that. We'd never be like, oh, this beer is from James Carlson. Oh my God. Yeah, and this is the worst thing I've ever had. Oh. No, you have a registration number. It's pretty anonymous. But again, just trying to encourage people. If you don't want to send it, that's fine. We have up to 40 spots available. Registration ends March 11th, maybe, or March 15th, whatever that Friday is. That's when registration ends, and then beer has to be to us by April the 4th. All the stuff's at kolschcup.com, and I just bring all that up just to say there are spots available. But if you don't want to sign up, whatever, that's cool too. We got if we only end up with 20, we can condense it down to 2 days, and then we'll still have fun. But kolschcup.com, that's what the shirt's going to look like. Todd approved it. We all have.
I did not approve it. That's not what it's going to. You know what? I should say this. It may look like that, but if it does, Josh Stubing is personally going to pay for it.
Oh, no. Wait, well, yeah, we'll have to argue semantics on if I pay for it, like as in my own credit card or a credit card I'm in possession of.
No, I can just take it out of your expense report.
Andale. Okay, we're all right, it's getting too real. I'm going to have to go ahead and change the shirt up a little bit, but this is probably, it's going to basically look like this, though. You're just upset about the top foam. If I took out most of the foam, you'd be okay with that design.
Well, I just want you to put some
bubbles.
It has bubbles. Foam has bubbles, and bubbles would be airspace to vent that giant sheet of plastic you're putting on the shirt.
It's not even that giant. It's what is the between each thing right here? What is that? That's like 4 inches. No, you're right. No, you're right. 4 inches. 4 inches is giant. That's right. But anyway, so kolschcup.com.
Not touching that one.
Not touching that one. And then, like I said, guys, last call for the February Trub Club and last call at KegConnection.com for 15% off site-wide. Don't miss out on this deal. We've had a great week or a couple weeks of sales because people are taking advantage of 15% off site-wide. No promo code required. Get discounts on your kegs, which it's funny. We are the used ball lock kegs, Todd. I wouldn't say drying up, but it's been a good run of having those in stock, and everyone
yeah. I mean, we are very low on those. We do have those fantastic ones that are completely redone.
Yep.
The 18 liter, which
the
is
remanufactured.
Yeah. Right at 5 gallon. And then anyway, those are really good kegs. That's my favorite keg right now. So
it is. And then the premium AEB refurbished. And
got a few of those left, but not many.
Not many. And then Pinlock. We have some Pinlock, and we have converted Pinlock.
We've got some Pinlock. We're going to get some more Pinlock in and do some more converted. Hopefully that will be here soon, and we can talk about that on a future podcast.
Absolutely. So again, KegConnection.com, no promo code required. Get yourself 15% off site-wide. Last call for that. Don't miss out. You can see I added the little Topo Chico baggie there at the bottom right because that's also 15% off. Literally everything site-wide, 15% off. Go take advantage of that while you can. I think that's all the small talk I have. I kind of want to play the listener feedback thing, but I don't need to because it's a combination question / voicemail, but we'll just get right into it. We've got 3 questions for this week, and our first one is a voicemail from our buddy Dave from Kansas City.
Hey, Josh, this is Dave from Kansas City. I wanted to say I really enjoyed the live stream that you and your dad did for the brewing. I kind of caught the tail end of it, but it was great to have some Q&A with you guys. I'm listening to your current episode, and you were talking about whether hooking up an RO system is really worth it, or was really worth it for you, or just using Candom tablets. And I want to tell you that, even with a Candom tablet, although you might strip out chlorine and chloramines, you're still getting all the other minerals that come with your tap water, right? So the great thing about RO is that you are working with a blank slate, or as close to it as possible, and then being able to add in your salts or minerals to create that great brew taste from that geographic location that you're trying to brew. So as far as to answer your question, absolutely. A little bit more expensive to put in an RO system or have somebody do it for you. I did my own, and it was pretty cost effective. But in the long run, you're working with more of a blank slate of water, and you're able to add in minerals and reduce off flavors and other hard or soft water conditions. Moving on, because I heard you might need a question for the show, I thought that I would ask you a little bit about your thoughts on hot side aeration. When I went through school at St. Louis University for brewing science and completed that class, one of the things that had come up was hot side aeration. I use a brew in the bag system that is from Clawhammer Supply, 120 volt, 10 gallon system. And I like to run my pump when I'm getting into my boil, and allows me to kind of knock down some of the head that may build as I'm going through, but also keeps that water and wort moving through my hop basket to really pull the alpha acids out. Although they have a lot of information out there about not doing this because you can create hot side aeration. I think it's more of a tale and less of a truth, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for all you do. I really enjoy your show. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dave, for submitting that. First, on his feedback part, when we were doing the brew, I was making a quip with my pop, like I could have saved a lot of money and just bought a bunch of Camden tablets as opposed to the RO. But he makes a great point, Dave does, that it's not just chlorine I'm trying to get out of the water, right? When I'm
I mean, James and I don't even have chlorine, so that wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, y'all don't. He was talking about me specifically. Like my water supply does, I believe. Which is funny because I think San Marcos took fluoride out of theirs. It might be back in it, but not that long ago they did. Yeah.
Wow.
Not too long ago. And then I want to say they might have added it back, but everyone's teeth were falling out. And so, but anyways, the RO. I will say, Dave did his own. I contracted my father-in-law, and by that I mean I bought him Whataburger for lunch. So I also was able to get it done fairly reasonable, but it was not cheap. Like we did the running water RO system as well, and a water softener because my wife wanted one. I didn't want a water softener. It's very expensive, and that's what was the bulk of the cost. But either way, I don't regret the RO. In fact, I love it. Making Topo Chico batches at home with the RO wouldn't be possible if I didn't have a blank slate to start with, because I'd just be adding minerals on top of already mineraled water, and it would just be this convoluted mess. So RO is absolutely something I recommend if it's in the budget. Getting over to the hot side aeration question. First off, I'd love to know what the St. Louis University professor thought about it, because you think they get paid. Our opinions, like, I'm a college dropout. Todd, I think, is the only one who graduated in this group from college, isn't he? What a show off. James, did you even, I went to college for no reason. I mean, I went as an English major.
Pretty much me too. One semester, and I realized I was not college material.
Yeah, I was there
I was so college material. It was great 5.5 years.
Yeah, well, I was there for almost 5 years too. No degree to show for it. But my dad watches.
Really? You were there 5 years?
I wasn't full time the whole time. When I was working for you, I was part time, and then you were basically my mentor.
So it's not too late. You can still go get it.
Yeah, I could. But anyways, that guy, the St. Louis University, he gets paid for his opinion. So I would love to know what he thought. But my opinion is that I didn't have one until this question, because I also thought it was just a myth and not to worry about. I thought aeration on the hot side was good, specifically when your wort is cooled down to the point of pitching the yeast. I thought that's like aerate the crap out of it, because the yeast is going to want that for the munchies, right? Have I been thinking it wrong? James, what are your thoughts? Has hot side aeration ever been a concern in your brew life?
I've never done it, to be honest with you. I only aerate once the wort's cooled down.
Well, no, that's not true though, because you do a whirlpool. That would be considered hot side aeration.
No, the whirlpool is immersed. Both nozzles are inside the wort, so there's no aeration.
But I think what he was talking about was moving it. I don't think his was splashing in either.
Well, it would have to be, right, if he's pulling the bag up.
You're talking about just the part coming out of the bag, but he was talking about something about recirculating so it would run over his hops. I would think that would be, I don't know. I would think that would be.
He keeps the water moving through my hop basket to really pull the alpha acids out. He has a hop basket in his claw hammer, and he's letting it go through that. When I think like when it brew in a bag, you're not sparging, but you're letting it drip, and that would be aeration. No, Todd. I mean, is that not what you're talking about?
You mean when he pulls the bag out, the little bit of dripping you're getting?
Yeah. You say a little bit. I mean, that's kind of.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't even understand the question to start with. I mean, why would it matter if you want to aerate your wort, before you ferment. So why would it matter whether it's closed or open or in the thing or fallen 5 feet? Or I mean, why does it matter?
And here's the question I guess I'm kind of proposing to people who know more, and maybe James is that person. As I was saying it, like, oh, but isn't aerating it good? I'm not, like you said, James, I'm not actually aerating until it's at like 70 on so that's not considered hot at that point. I think when I did a Google search this morning before actually having to work, it was like anything 80 and above, Todd, is what they consider hot. And what people, and again, the vast majority of what I saw on the initial front page of Google is that everyone thinks it's just garbage. The opinion that hot side aeration matters in regards to it being bad. Like no one online said, oh, if you do that, you're gonna get oxidation or whatever, cardboard or whatever off flavors. But there are people who have made that statement of like, you never should, because it does mess with the integrity of the final batch. Where like James said, I'm not sure if I've ever consciously aerated above 80 degrees. The only time I do start aerating, it's at 70 on the high end.
Yeah. I know with the Brautag, the inlet and outlet nozzles for the Whirlpool are completely immersed in the wort. So, when you're running a Whirlpool, I guess it can pull some through, but it doesn't do an aggressive Whirlpool. It's a real gentle swirl. So I don't know how much of that's going on in the Whirlpool, but I've always waited for it to cool down before and then, Todd and I both do the same thing. Is I've got the hose and the pump coming off the boil kettle spraying down into the fermenter. So it's, we're doing all of that as we're transferring it into the fermenter.
But why would it be any different than sparging?
Oh, you mean like the aeration that would happen during sparging?
Yeah, because it's hot and
like you just said, when it's dripping, do you think it's? I guess it's more aggressive.
It's we're sparging. It's a lot of water coming straight down onto there and circulating. I don't know.
At like 172, right? Or what?
Yeah, 100. Wow.
I know when I do a sparge on the Brautag, I use the lower nozzle and I introduce it nice and slow until it's completely covered. I'm nice and slow because I want to do a 45-minute sparge. That's your priority. It's not because of aeration. Yeah.
You're doing that for when I was just say on the G40, which I now am just realizing I forgot to bring it. You can't help me work on it if I don't bring it. Gosh, Josh. But the G40, it is as gentle as any other electric in regards to we're sparging up top slow for the sake of longevity. And the dripping is not super aggressive, blip, 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 blip. But I would agree with you, Todd, if you wanted to argue semantics that technically is aeration, which I would say I've never had an issue with.
It's the first time I've ever heard of it, so I don't know.
Ever?
Maybe I don't understand the question.
Interesting, because you've been brewing
ever in the history of brewing for
40 years,
many years.
40.
I've never
the number's 40.
Heard that term, hot side aeration.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think next time I brew, I'm going to do that. I'm going to shoot the beer into the boil kettle as fast as I can, and so I can aerate even more. I love that idea.
Well, I will say to add on to my praise of all of our sponsors, we have the grains and we have the hops, and now I got you the yeast that you asked for that prototype recipe that you're developing for a future Trub Club kit. So you both have neither one of you have
for me.
Yeah, that's right. The one that you were gonna do, the one that you were gonna brew with Lorena, and y'all didn't brew.
Well, what's the?
No, I have to
hop.
We have it up there. You told the one that you told me. We already had it. We had enough for you. We don't have enough for the kit. We had enough for you.
I don't remember.
Well, yeah, we have enough. I promise you, you have everything you'd need to brew it in a 17.5 gallon batch. And the yeast came in, and like I said, for James, he got the tradition.
I thought you were talking about hops. You're talking about yeast.
Well, yes, but both. You have all the ingredients you'd need to test drive that recipe you've been coming up with for a future kit. And you're the one who told me to do it now because you want to try this kit either April or May. So, you gotta stick to brewing because you're about to be out of town. You are, and
I can't brew right now. I can't brew this weekend.
Oh man, that's what's going to happen. And then I'm going to be like, well, this was the recipe for April or May. I haven't had time to brew. We can't do that one. I want to brew it first. Y'all heard it here first. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
But anyway,
well, I would like to add one more thing about that is I think the main reason why I don't aerate when it's warm or hot wort is oxygen. It's hard to get oxygen into the wort when it's hot. It's just like anything else. When you're trying to introduce a gas in a liquid, the cooler the better.
Oh, good point.
So that's the way that I do it.
That's a good point. But also, and I think also there's no front conscious reason to, right? I mean, I can't think of a part of the brew day where I think, oh, agitate or aerate the wort. Like, it's not just been a part of the process. Where if it is something that conventional wisdom would say to avoid, then I've been lucking out because it's never been a part of our brew day process anyway. The Sparge is the closest I get to it, and it is kind of gentle to where it's never caused any issues. But this is a question. I did take one. We've never really talked about hot side aeration, but also I'd love people's comments below if you're watching at YouTube.
Oh, that'd be great.
YouTube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour. Leave comments below if you're watching there, or if you're listening, go to that and leave it. That helps us greatly with the algorithm. This is the time where I go, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and the bell notification so you get all of our videos sent right to you.
You know who would be? Horst would be good to ask that question.
We need to have him back on the show anyway. Todd actually did secure with him that he'd do it, and then he was like, I'll come back to y'all with some dates. And I just need to follow up with him. He didn't come back to us with dates. We had got a lot of good shows coming up with guests and stuff. So Horst is the man. And if we can get a topic for him to talk about that's not super depressing, it'd be the best. Like the last one, he was a wealth of knowledge, but he's like, yes, brewing will be inaccessible to everyone. The grains are not available. And what is the meaning of life? It would
be funny if he left a voice message about that. That would be cool.
That would be cool. I would love that. But anyways, and his
wife.
While
you were talking, I looked it up. It's interesting. There's an article, Brewlosophy.
Yeah. They did the experiment.
He actually did a test.
And the conclusion was no result.
He said he couldn't tell any difference at all. And statistically, the people that tasted it couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. There we go.
And he used an electric drill with a whip on it.
Oh wow! So he really
he did the crap.
He really went out of his way. Yeah. Marshall and them. And that article's at 7 years old, right? It was one of his.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, he did it a while ago. All the experiment stuff, experiment rather, stuff is worth checking out over at brewlosophy.com. But anyway, this is definitely one where voicemail feedback I expect, but go to the comments section. I'd appreciate that more at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour. Let us know what you think. Is hot side aeration a myth? Did Marshall solve it for all of us and none of us need to address it anymore? Let us know. Thank you, Dave from Kansas City. This is a great time to remind y'all, if and when you call and leave a question to 325-305-6107 and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to KegConnection.com. If you text that same number, you still get yourself a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty good. Like our buddy Vincent, who wrote in saying, "Hi, Josh. I'm a huge fan of Homebrew Happy Hour. This is my first time writing in. Can you ask James why a brewer would choose not to sparge? I still make extract batches. I don't think you guys have ever talked about if sparging is always necessary. I'd appreciate Todd's money so I can buy more kegs. Thank you." You know what? I'm gonna oblige the man. James, why would a brewer not want to sparge?
I have no idea why you wouldn't want to sparge, because think about it this way. If you sparge, you're rinsing more sugars out of the grain, which increases efficiency of the grain bed. Plus, you don't have to use as much grain. I think it makes the wort taste better. So if you want to save time and you want to spend more money per batch, then don't sparge, but you're going to be using a lot more grain for the difference of not pulling the residuals, because there's lots of sugars in the grain bed that you want to get, because that's what you're after anyway. So now if you're doing extract brewing with like a mini mash, not a lot there. But if you're doing all grain, you definitely want to sparge. So I would say this: if you're doing extract brewing, it's not necessary, because you're just dealing with a little bit of grains for flavor. But if you're doing all grain, I think, in my personal opinion, it's absolutely necessary. Whether you do a batch sparge or a fly sparge, you want to utilize as much sugars from the grains as possible. And the only way you can do that is to rinse those sugars off the grain bed. Now, you got to remember, the more that you sparge, if you sparge too long, you can pull tannins out. And because every time you sparge, or the longer you sparge, the pH goes up. As the pH goes up, the tannins can leach out of the grain, the hulls or the husks of the grain, and that can cause taste issues. So you just got to be careful of that. Watch your gravity when you're sparging. You know, you don't want to let it to drop under 1010. That's kind of what I shoot for. Some people go higher, but I've had real good luck. I haven't had any issues with tannins. But yeah, I think sparging is necessary.
I should have started it. I should have started it too. We can always, you can still address this. I was going to do my best, Norm McDonald. Explain to the people at home, James, what is a sparge? Why? What?
It's the rinsing of the grain bed to get the sugars out.
To get the sugars out. That's right. And would you say the sweet spot would be about half an hour? I mean, obviously up to.
I always shoot for 45 minutes. So that's slow enough that you're not rinsing the tannins out of the husks of the grains. And you're just nice and slow. So you want just a good, nice, slow, like on a fly sparge, where it's on the fly. So we're just running it from the HLT through the grain bed into the boil kettle. And, you know, you can actually literally look at the color of the wort going into the boil kettle and tell, unless you're doing a super light beer. But then you'd want to stop and use your refractometer just to see where you're at as far as. But usually by the time you're at the volume you need to be pre-boil, you're not even close to those gravity numbers. So I never look at it. I have a routine that I do, and it seems to work for me.
Now, I am curious because the people I'm making assumptions here because I don't do this. My impression is that people who brew in a bag and they double mill do not sparge. Like that's a common combination. They're in an electric all-in-one. They use a brew in a bag. They double mill. And I say they don't sparge. They put the bag up and they let it drip to get the volume. I guess they're doing that for volume, right? And then some people squeeze. They don't squeeze. That's a whole other controversy. What is the thought process behind that? Saving time? Is that really all it is? And they're double milling probably to try to increase the efficiency from the initial mash. Yeah. So that they can skip.
But I think a good bit of brew in a bag brewers don't even sparge. Now I would, but you know, a lot of them I think it's quicker, it's easier, and for a lot of people, you know, let's say that your grain bill's 20-25% more to be at the same gravity without sparging, and it saves you an hour. Then you know that would be the advantage of that. But I just think it's better beer to sparge.
Yeah. And now, Todd, you've sparged every batch of beer I've ever seen you brew. I believe sparging is part of your process and always has been. On a 3-vessel Herms, is sparging, like what I have never understood, and I've got this question before, is sparging, you have to just get to the volume you want? It's not like when I'm sparging, I have a hot liquor tank that's full of a set amount of liquid that is going to be used for the sparge, and then that's it, right? You're using the hot liquor tank that correct me if I'm wrong, is full of way more water than you're actually going to need. When you're sparging on a Herms like that, you just get to the volume you want in the boil kettle and call it a day, right?
Yeah. And I mean, what I typically do is I will drain that kettle down to almost the bed of grain. So I'm basically getting pure wort coming out so I can get as much of that as possible. Then I tend to let it come up a little bit. And then I'll bring it down again, let it come up. I don't actually do it continuously. I think a lot of people do, but it just, for me, it works better just to bring it up a while and then pull it back down. And what I've found is I don't do it for 45 minutes. I don't think it probably takes me about 30. But what I find is that the efficiency is really high. And when I'm done, I always use what's left over because you always still have some left over in there. I always use that and just actually drink it like a tea while I'm finishing brewing. And it's not very sweet at all. I mean, and if I take and actually test it, I'll find that the sugar level in that is less than what the it's to the point where I'm not contributing anything left. There's almost no sugar left in the grain. So, once there's no sugar left in the grain, the only reason you would continue is just to bring the volume up in your boil kettle to where you want it to be.
Well, and now
you got,
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, because you got that nice hot water and you might as well keep pulling it in there.
I was just, as you were talking about it, I was just thinking, James, if I did a no sparge, I would have to do a full volume mash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which means you're going to have a bigger bowl,
much bigger kettle.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, so that's another drawback. You can use smaller volume equipment if you're going to sparge, because you don't need to do that all in one volume.
Right. Your boil kettle will always have to be the volume you're trying to get, but the mash tun wouldn't. But if you're doing no sparge, you would have to have a mash tun that could handle the grain, the displacement of it with your full volume that you're going to take, or do no sparge people add water? No, they do full volume, right? They're doing full.
No, they would have to.
They'd have to, yeah.
So your equipment volume, and you're right, it would be absolutely would be the boil kettle, but also the mash, because you want to. If you're doing brewing a bag in a cooler, you'd want to make sure that cooler has enough volume for the whole batch of beer.
Yeah.
And a little more, because you've got to accommodate for evaporation in the boil. So, you just have to have a higher volume cooler or mash tun or whatever you're using in a brewing a bag or whatever. I just think it's.
We've had good results with the sparge, and this is, it's a very good episode to yield questions. I'm not going to hide that, friends, watching this. Go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Leave it in the comments. What do you think about if you do know sparge? Tell us why. Is it just for time saving? Is it for the convenience? Do you find that it doesn't make the result? I bet you Marshall and them have an experiment on that too. You know what? We could do a whole episode of just Googling their experiments and then reporting back on it. But I would love to hear your comments below or call it in. Again, I'd rather have questions right now. I've got a lot of feedback, but if it's good feedback, I'll play it. 325-305-6107. Go ahead, Mr. Burns.
Well, the only thing I would say is, you definitely are going to get more sugar by sparging. You're getting that, you're going to get more efficiency. So, that's not really a question. The question is that with the way that you brew and your process, is it more trouble than it's worth to you? You could do the same thing by just adding, having more grain, I guess. But yeah, I just can't imagine a situation where I wouldn't. This is probably taking it to the ridiculous, but I even sparged when I did like mini mash recipes.
No way.
I would always pour hot water on the top and get
really
that spit out. Yeah.
Did you notice? Was it more placebo, or you think it actually made a net positive difference?
Well, it would rinse out whatever sugars were left in the grain.
Yeah. It literally does. Yeah.
Yeah.
How interesting. I don't think my dad and I we just steeped, and I don't believe we ever did rinse them, but he'll comment below. He's been commenting on some of the YouTube stuff. Top, did we in extract? I don't remember, but either way, it's a good question to get listener feedback on. And Vincent, we appreciate it. The final reminder, friends, when you text 325-305-6107 and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $15 gift card, but even better, call in that same hotline, leave a voicemail. I use it on a future episode. You get yourself a $25 gift card to catconnection.com. Like our third and final question, it's our buddy Rob from Lavernia.
Hello, James, Todd, and Josh. This is Rob from Lavernia. Once again, got a simple question. I think it's simple. Well, maybe it's not, because I haven't been able to figure it out. How, or should I say, what are the different techniques I could use to prevent star sands from being sucked up my half-inch hose to my fermenter? Now, the fermenter sits probably, just for context, the fermenter sits up probably about 5 feet off the ground. And I have a half-inch silicone hose going into a bucket fermenter just to kind of keep things, sealed, if you will. But when I cold crash, what happens is, obviously it creates a vacuum, and typically it's not a problem. But the last time it became a big problem, I won't get into details because it makes me cry. but I'm trying to figure out a way to prevent that from happening again. I think, we all say, whatever works for you, keep doing, but I think Mother Nature gets a vote. And I think in this particular case, because we were going through a cold snap here in Texas, that the ambient temperature was already cold enough to create a different environment for the exterior of that star sands. Anyway, not going to get into too much detail, so I'm not a physicist, but that's my only guess. But anyway, my thought was maybe to buy a stainless steel cap for the top of the fermenter, because it does have a 3-inch disc that comes off, which is actually the blow-off tube that I can substitute for a cap. And I thought maybe that might be a good idea, but I don't know if that's true. But anyway, looking forward to your thoughts on how I can keep the cold crash vacuum from killing my beer with sanitizer. All right. Have a great time. Love your show. And look forward to hearing the answer and some ideas, maybe from the listeners too. Take care.
Yeah, listener feedback heavy potential episode. First, I want to Lavernia is right down the road from me. That's right on the other side of San Antonio, or I guess southeast of San Antonio. But it's funny that he left this voicemail when we had a cold front, and it's funny that I'm taking it today because we what was yesterday, 94? It was like 92, 94. The day before was like 96, 95. Now I'm in a beanie because it's not even getting out of the 40s today, I don't believe. Right now it's like 44. The weather hates me is basically what I'm saying. And can you imagine trying to I'm going to use my garage to ferment. It shows it to be 40 or whatever. And then like the next day it's 90. Be miserable. Anyways, though, it is a great question. James is our resident MacGyver, and I know you.
I got a perfect fix for this. I
know you do. Let me see. I want Todd's opinion first in regards to Suckback. Hasn't been an issue for me ever since I pressure ferment and then transfer out of that into a keg and then put it into the fridge. I haven't had any issues, obviously, because there's no time for Suckback to happen. This is when people are fermenting and then they move that fermenter after primary into their fridge and let it sit there for a while before they then transfer to the kegging vessel. So what you sometimes transfer to secondaries, but I don't know if I've ever seen you do a blow off tube when you do move it into the fridge. So what are your thoughts on preventing suckback, and if you even had to have addressed that in your own setup?
I've never had to address it.
You've never, because the only time you use a blow off tube is in primary.
Yeah, and if I cold crash in the in my fermenter, I actually at that point I pull the dip tube out of the water and I cap it off and pressurize it.
Right. Oh, you know what though, too? And here's where I'm dumb. It's not even just a blow off tube. Suckback happens all the time from just a normal airlock too, of people because you in your secondary do use an airlock. But mine, it wouldn't suck back the way the airlock works. It's not going to suck water in. No, I think that's exactly what people are saying happens, right, Jay? I mean, I've seen
you can pull a vacuum on a 2-piece airlock, and it'll literally pull the sanitizer out into the tube.
Yeah.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah, you've lucked out. See, I haven't ever had it happen since switching the process I did, but I have seen it on the airlock before. I use the 2-piece, not the twin one, but just the standard 2-piece. But I've used the last time I actually used an airlock in the fridge was vodka, and it was because I didn't want to make a batch of sanitizer, and so when some of it did go in, I was like, it didn't.
I pressure ferment, so it's not an issue when you pressure ferment because you have that pressurized vessel, and as the beer cold crashes, that pressure kind of goes back to normal, so it's not an issue. But I've got a perfect fix for that. If you're worried about suckback.
What is
Take a 2-piece airlock, and then when primary fermentation is done, pull the cap and the little floating insert inside the 2-piece, and just just go to the grocery store or the Dollar General and just get a balloon. Put it on there. It'll finish. The little residual CO2 will fill the balloon up. It will take up that volume space that's going to be sucked back in when it gets cold. So that would be the easiest way to fix that.
Interesting. Now I'm gonna have to make a video with you on that, like a real quick phone, because yeah. And I mean, people used
I'm
to
gonna get a 2-piece airlock.
go get go get it right now. We'll small talk without you, and that will do it for this episode of the home. No, that you know what's funny is because we're on the same page. That he did that because he thinks he's gonna prove us wrong. Like there's no way it could come back through because
that's got to go somewhere. If there's a pressure difference. And because of that floating cap around the water, it creates a seal.
Yeah. And
so if you've got suction on the main tube and that's holding the water in, it will literally draw it down into the tube.
Yeah. No, like I said, last time I used an airlock in the fridge for cold conditioning, it was vodka, but I definitely sucked some back in. Maybe not.
Yeah, I have in the past.
Yeah.
And maybe it evaporated out, you know. I'm not saying that I could be wrong on that, but
No. We're not wrong in the fact that it happens. I think he thinks we're wrong on the fact that it can't even happen. But you know.
But on the balloon thing, I will make this. I just said primary fermentation is over. I would probably wait till it hits about 10, 20 and then put the balloon on, so at least you have enough CO2 to fill the balloon up.
That's a good point.
If primary fermentation's done, it's not going to be enough gas in that balloon to offset or displace the volume, that area inside the fermenter. As the liquid, the beer cools down, it shrinks, and that shrinkage is what's causing a vacuum inside the fermenter.
Look at him. You put liquid in there and you're sucking it out?
It's sucking. I'm not getting any liquid, though.
Oh, my gosh. Dude, I'm telling you. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. Yes. I promise you.
Maybe.
I have, for sure.
Really? Okay.
No, but do that again.
Well, I tell you, when I run into it is when I have too much volume of beer in a fermenter and I cold crash it and there's not enough headspace, and it just puts a powerful vacuum on the 2-piece. And it will overcome that little floating thing inside, because that's technically closing off on the tube when you're pulling the vacuum. Right. But over time, it will eventually wick its way through that and down into the beer.
But show us again, because I didn't get a good glimpse. Yeah, show me again what you. There's my thumbnail. and it works in both ways. It's an innuendo, or I could pause it close up on that and do a bong sound. It multiple
make
things.
Another sticker.
Make another. Oh, James, you're brilliant. Oh my gosh. Oh. Anyway, so Todd, you're in the camp of suckback is not a concern for you.
Well, only because I have seen it start to come back if I didn't switch it over. But like on mine, even if it did suck back, it's got a long ways to go. I've never had it come back into the beer.
Right. And
another thing you could do too is you can just make a longer piece of hose and maybe put a loop in the hose. So it takes a whole lot more vacuum to offset to displace the liquid in the line is the objective.
Well, and he didn't, hold on, I got to look at the transcription, even though Google does a terrible job of taking a voice and turning it into text. My assumption was, he does have a bucket. So you're right. For Rob's specific thing, you could try the longer tube with a loop. Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's using a 1/2-inch tube, I believe is what he said.
Yeah. That's what it transcribed. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that the easiest course of action would be just a longer piece of hose with a loop. And at least because it'll only have so much vacuum given the, how much, if you've got it all the way to the top, it's pushing in tube into the blow off bucket, but you just want to be able to displace enough of that to where it's not going to end up back into the fermenter. If you're doing a direct tube with a 90 into a bucket of water, there's no check valve there, then it definitely will suck it in. But if you're using a 2-piece, like Todd just showed, it takes quite a bit, but over time, if you've got enough vacuum on it, over time, it will eventually start to seep in back into the fermenter.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another great question for feedback. I keep telling them I want questions, not feedback. And then I do 3 very strong questions that will yield feedback. So joke's on me. That's what I'm going to get next week is a ton of feedback, which is great. But again, my primary wish for y'all would be to go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. If you're already watching it here, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you're an audio only listener, which 99% of the dozens we entertain every week are, take the time to go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, go through and comment on stuff. It helps us with the algorithm. And you get rewarded for your interactions if I use it on a future episode. It's really cool. I'm just spending Todd's money, like our second question. Here, and you get Todd's money, and you get Todd's money. But the MacGyver thing you came up with would be interesting. But yeah, he might get away with just longer tubing in a loop at first. But the balloon one would be interesting because, like you said, it would also be visual in regards to seeing it work, right? Suckback, I think it's only visual when it's too late. You see the star sand or the sand step or the iodine or whatever you're using going into your keg, and then you're like, ah. But in trace amounts, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. I think if you're using star sand, they always say that don't fear the foam, or just use sand step like we do, or I say like we do, like y'all do. I actually use iodophor still. I like to stain all of my equipment a pale beige. It brings me comfort. Listen, I like it, but it stains everything. It's wild. Anyways, Rob, thank you so much for submitting that question. Fellas, that's all I have for this week. I sincerely appreciate y'all's time doing the show. Todd, we got to go over to next door and get some filming done. So let's go.
Right.
Let's go.
I got to do one thing and then we'll do that.
Oh my gosh, it's always one thing. James, thank you for your time, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
You bet.
Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in 325-305-6107. Leave us a voicemail and get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Thank you to our show sponsors like Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton's, give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. So go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.